Hey everyone, hope you're having a fantastic day. I know I am. So today, this video is going to be kind of a breakdown of this thing that we play called the Vamp. And it's kind of a cool thing. We've had several people at different churches ask us about it. Really what we do when we're out on the road, as many of you know who've come seen us, there are occasions when you have a concert type setting where there's kind of a preset set list. And if we're doing something on TV, things kind of fall in a pretty set order. But a lot of the stuff that we do is in revival type services or worship type atmospheres. And in those situations, we need kind of dynamics at play. So there's a lot of really cool things that happen when we're on the road having all live music. One of my passions is some people say they like a lot more live music in gospel music. But when they mean by live music, they mean playing the songs exactly like it is on the record verbatim. And there's a place for that, to be sure. But what I really like allowing musicians to express themselves and create something. So every place you go to, it's a different group of people. And even if it's the same room you're playing in, if you're playing there a couple of nights in a row, it's a totally different group. Each night, there's different people there, different people have different needs, and so the atmosphere is different. Even if you're playing the same songs, it's different. When we're playing, every once in a while, we kind of kick the can around, so to speak, and we just kind of improvise a little bit. And every once in a while, we come up with something kind of cool. And so that's what this is. This is something that we're just playing around with. Steven on the keyboard, Tony on the guitar. I think they were kind of going back and forth, and they happened onto this little riff. We used it, and we really liked it. It was kind of neat. So we played that. Went well, we remembered it, and we kept playing it. And it became kind of part of our routine. We typically use it for a variety of things. Most of the time, it works really great when we're backing up a minister. So if they're speaking and they're trying to set an atmosphere, what works really well with the Vamp is we can make it really busy, and we can make it really linear. We can make it with high energy, and it's building, and it's very, very active, and it's just really driving. And we can also play basically the same pattern, but we can lay it out flat. And so stick around to the end of the video. I'll explain what the nuances are to that and how we use it. And you can kind of go back and see what it is we're talking about. So this is the Vamp, something cool that we play. And in this particular example, it's 100% improvised and it's live. It's not perfect, but it's 100% improvised. And in the video, you'll see me with a talkback mic. That's what that's called, a talkback mic. And it's not intentionally left out. I just did not set the talkback mic up to record, so I don't have that audio. But just so you know, I'm the band leader, and that talkback mic is how I can give instructions to the rest of the band. So I'll tell them, okay, let's lay out, let's go straight, let's build it up, let's drop it down. We try to follow how the flow of things is really going. And so I'll give notes to people, and sometimes I just make little funny comments to the band. So that's what's going on. If you see me talking into the microphone in the video, that's what that is. I don't have that audio, but just know that generally I'm just giving instructions to the band, and that's what that is. So enjoy the Vamp, stick around after it's over, and I'll give you kind of a breakdown of what the chord structure looks like and the tempos and all that fun stuff, so maybe you can play it at your church. All right, thanks.
seen nor ear has heard when we get over yonder what it's going to be like. But we know we shall be like him. When's he coming back? I don't know. 8 years, 80 years, 100. I don't know when he's coming back. But I know he's coming back. I said I know he's coming back. Woo! Put your anointing on it, God. All right. Glory to God. All right. We're going to read, brother, get you a mic. We get near down to the book of Psalms. And as we come down to the book of Psalms, David begins to pour on the praises more and more and more. I'm not going to keep you just a few minutes. But he begins to pour it on. And I want our good pastor to read, and we're going to use all of you preachers here in just a minute. Just hold still. I want you to read me the first 4 words in Division 146.
Praise ye the Lord.
What's the last 4 words in that division?
Praise ye the Lord.
Go to 147. What's the first 4 words?
Praise
Woo!
ye the Lord.
What's the last 4 words?
Praise ye the Lord.
Division 148. What's the first 4 words?
Praise ye the Lord.
What's the last 4 words?
Praise ye the Lord.
Division 149. What's the first 4 words?
Praise ye the Lord.
What's the last 4 words?
Praise ye the Lord.
Now I want you to raise your hands and say, praise ye the Lord. Now that brings us down to the last division. Psalms 150. Are you ready to get baptized in the fire? How many knows 150 Psalms? We all do. I'm going to read a stanza, and I'm going to stop. And I want all of these ministers to lead you in saying, praise ye the Lord. Can we do a dry run? Ready? Praise ye the Lord. One more time. Praise ye the Lord. All right, here we go. When I start reading, when I stop, you ministers lead them in saying, praise ye the Lord, and you say it on the mic. Here we go. Praise ye the Lord. Praise God in his sanctuary. Praise him in the firmament of his power. Praise him for his mighty acts. Woo! Praise him according to his excellent greatness. Praise him with the sound of the trumpet. Praise him with the psaltery and harp. Praise him with the timbrel and dance. Praise him with stringed instruments and organs. Praise him above the loud cymbal. Praise him above the high-sounding cymbal. Let everything that hath breath praise the Lord. Praise the Lord.
All right, awesome. So hope you enjoyed the Vamp. This is kind of for the musician friends that we have out there, anybody who's kind of interested in music theory or music ministers who are wanting to incorporate something new and fun. So a lot of people, they hear this at places we play and they think it's super complicated. It's actually not difficult to do at all. It's 3 chords. So this is the key of D minor. And so we're starting out in a D minor 7. We go to a B flat major 7, then an A minor 7, and then we go back to the D minor 7. For our number system guys, this is kind of a 1-6-5-1 progression. There's a little more nuance to it, which I'll explain in a bit, but the general idea, it's a 1-6-5-1 progression. That's the whole thing. Starting in the 1, going to the 6, going to the 5, and then going back to the 1. Now, sometimes we swap the A minor 7 to just an A7. So that's something that happens sometimes. The cool thing is about it, that's the general progression, but the individual musicians can kind of play different things over top of it, which is really cool, really nice. So the progression is pretty simple. It's B flat major 7, A minor 7, D minor 7. Please do not judge the drummer's singing voice. And that's basically it. Dun, 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 dun. There's this idea that I have, this may be more of a drummer thing, I don't know, but this idea of dynamics versus texture. So a lot of people understand dynamics. That's high volume and low volume, and the crescendo is where the volume builds up, and that's kind of a linear way of thinking to me. Dynamics, to me, means more than just volume. So you can be playing something the same way at a lower volume, but you can also play something differently at a lower volume, and it gives you what I call more steps. When you're heading up the crescendo, you get more steps to it. And what I mean by that is, early in the video, we're playing kind of a wide open dun, 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 dun. It's kind of going real good, and then we see that the minister is going to come up. He's going to be speaking for a bit, and so what we do, we don't want to let all the air out of the room by just killing it and shutting everything down, but we don't want to be taking over. But at the same time, just playing at a lower volume can still take away from the minister. So what we do, it's this idea of texturing that I call it, where we, instead of playing the same patterns, dun, 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 we stretch it out. And we just kind of stretch out those notes, and we kind of let the air sit out, and we just barely hit them. They become like really long whole notes or half notes or something, instead of really staccato, really driving type of notes. And that's a really cool thing that you can do. And you can hear when we go to that, you're not letting the air out of the room. We're still playing the same pattern, but everyone's instantly becomes less busy. I'm playing less on the drums. The guitar's really kind of just doing some swell stuff in the background. Bass is laying out, and the keys are less busy too. Sometimes you want to kind of stretch it out. I actually heard Michael Jackson say one time, he said sometimes you have to let it simmer. And that's a really nice way to put it. Sometimes when you're playing, you just have to let things simmer just a bit. So that's kind of a breakdown of the Vamp. So this particular instance, it's at 184 beats per minute. That's the most common tempo that we play it at. We have played it up to 220 beats per minute, and that's a totally different feel than what you just heard. The 220 Vamp that's usually used at the very end of the service, and oftentimes we'll go into that as a nice transition when we're moving over to hand the service off to the host pastor, if we're in a revival type atmosphere. So we'll be playing that part, the transition happens, the other pastor comes up, and it sounds like we've gone into a totally new area. It's still the same tempo, the click's still going the same in our ears, and we just switch over and we start playing this Vamp, and we can kind of use less texture, really air it out. And we really like the chord progression of this. When we first listened to it, it kind of creates like an air of expectation. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's you can do a whole lot of things with it. You can lay a nice bedrock to where it just really engages. It kind of sets the atmosphere really well, which is good. And at the same time, it doesn't take away from what's going on, and it kind of sets that expectation in the air. And it's really great. It's really great from a musician standpoint when you don't know for sure what's going to happen next, which is often the case. There are many times where I'll go into the talkback mic and I'll say, guys, I don't know what he's going to do next. Let's just see what he's going to do next. Sometimes I have an idea. Sometimes I don't. I'm sure some of you church musicians have been in the same boat before. You may not know 100% what's going to happen next. And that's what's really great about it. It's really diverse. So if they go down a different direction where they're really wanting to engage with people out in the service, you can get less textured. If they become really impassioned and it starts building, you can build it up and add a lot more texture. You can increase your volume. It's really not praise break music, but you can sort of do do a pseudo praise break. So we can play over it, and you can have key solos over it. You can have guitar solos over it. If you've got other utility instruments like the sax or organ or any of that stuff, they can solo over it. So it's really great. Your rhythm section can lay down this bass, and it's just a few chords, but you can kind of just chug along in it, and everyone else can kind of play with it. So it's really great for being really diverse. It gives you a lot of options. You have a lot of outs with it. You can have a lot of directions you can go with it, and it resolves really nicely. So if you need to transition into something else, you can resolve right back to that one and kind of extend it out. If you're already in an atmosphere where you're texturally really spreading those notes apart and you're not really busy, then you can resolve it in a very natural way back to that D minor. And it flows really nicely. Like I mentioned in the intro, if we're doing a concert or doing something like on television or something like that, things are a good bit more linear in terms of the set list. We're moving things are happening in the pretty standard way. We know what's coming. We know what's next. And an atmosphere where it's not that, in a traditional church atmosphere or a worship atmosphere, you want a plan. You obviously have a plan going in, but that plan is subject to audibles. It's subject to things changing. Like I said, every church you're in, it's a different church, it's a different crowd. There's different people there with different needs, and things can shift very suddenly to need to go in a different direction. So what's really great to us about this Vamp is that it allows us to make that transition, and that's really cool. We really like it. It's very diverse. It's worked well for us. It's it's really simple. Like I said, 3 chords, but it's something really simple that we were able to pick up, we were able to use, and hopefully you find it enlightening and you're able to use it as well. I think of it having another tool in your tool chest. It's really nice to have a lot of things in your tool chest. We have other different dynamics that we lean on, things that we try to play to, and so this is just one of them. It's one of the things that we can do that's pretty consistent. It allows us to be diverse. We've used it not just for my father, he's a minister. We use it when we're backing up him, but we've also used it for other ministers that we've backed up before. It's a really great thing. It allows us to back them up in the best way possible, meaning we can follow their lead. It's not the band driving things. It's the minister driving things. I'm a firm believer in that. We're there to lead worship, but after the worship set, if a minister is trying to minister, it's very important to try to follow their direction with what they're doing. We use it a lot for situations where we think it could be beneficial, where we think it allows a minister to have the freedom that they need while at the same time the band is backing them up in a proper way, and we're able to, if we need to transition to another song, it can easily transition. If we want to ramp it up, we can ramp it up. There's even, if we want to go into something up tempo, we can go into something up tempo. We have options there. If we want to build into something that's even faster, we have options there. If you want to mod up, there's options there. It's a nice tool to have in the tool chest. We really like it. It's been fun for us. But it's not something that really ever gets recorded, if that makes sense. It's just something that you would hear us do live. I just can't think of many situations where it would show up on an album. So wanted to share it with you. Like I said, the recording's not perfect. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully the musicians out there enjoyed the breakdown of the music. If you'd like to see more stuff like this, let us know. If you have suggestions on anything you've heard our band play, let us know in the comments down below. So that's going to do it for us. If you like the video, make sure you click the like button down below. Make sure you share this video with a friend. Like our Facebook page, Branham Family Next Generation on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram at Branham Family Music. Stay tuned for 2020 dates. They'll be coming out soon. We love you all so much, and we can't wait to see you next time. Thanks.